Before I begin, I want to say two things. First, if you're one of the early birds to watch this video, I really want to impress upon you to click the thumbs up or thumbs down button. And that goes into number two. I'm in a very desperate situation. I've been living off of my credit cards for the past 6 months. I had excellent credit. Now it's trashed because I've maxed out all my credit cards. I, of course, was following all of my credit card instructions on how to get perfect credit, and I got up to 750 from something like 500, something ridiculous. So number two, if you could, donate $20 if you can. I think I will be kicked out soon. I don't know the actual legal standard here. I don't know if I have a mortgage or not because the person said that they're not a realtor selling me the place, but I do have a contract and it says I'm buying it. Which leads into this very important video. I have seen inside information sort of videos of people talking to other Fed people from the WEF, the World Economic Forum, talking to leaders, peasants, or whoever they're talking to, whoever will listen, and give them the authority to make decisions about the entire planet. I tried to make a video about this before, but I guess people either didn't understand or I didn't do a very good job of scaring you adequately. Last year, President Biden signed an executive order telling the Federal Reserve, which is a private company, to research a digital currency for the United States. This was in conjunction with actions taken around the world, who were also researching digital currencies. Well, some places had already done research and had launched digital currencies. One country in Africa launched a digital currency and they were going swell with it, and a month later they completely shut down the program because it just doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because nobody wants to be on board with, if they live in a relatively free society, and contrary to popular belief, all of Africa is not in turmoil. Africa is a continent. There are countries in Africa, just like there are countries in Europe. Not all European countries are the same. Not all countries in Africa are the same. Some of the countries in Africa are very rich. And I don't mean they have good resources. They have oil and diamonds in them. Yeah, they all have that. The actual economy is robust, and they have a good middle class. I lived in 3 different countries in Africa, being the son of a diplomat. I lived in relatively stable countries in Africa. As I say that, as I traveled around the world, disaster struck every time that we arrived in the country. They would have military takeovers. There would be earthquakes where earthquakes had never hit before. There will be snowstorms in Africa. I don't know if you know this, but Africa is really centered around the equator, and we were right like one country away from the Sahara Desert. And we would arrive, and 6 months later there would be a snowstorm, and my mother kept blaming me. Well, one of the countries in Africa did a cryptocurrency, central bank digital currency, a CBDC, and it was an unmitigated disaster. Why? Because Africans, just like everybody else, who had relative freedom in their life, all of a sudden realized that with a digital currency controlled by a central bank, they could literally shut you off and you would have no money. Also, they're floating the idea that with the central bank digital currency, that the currency, when you get it into your digital wallet, could expire if you don't use it. And that they said that would be used to help stimulate the economy so that you spend the digital currency, which would mean you cannot save the digital currency because it expires after a while. So, when that was happening in the country in Africa, and I apologize, I don't have the name of the country, but you can look it up. They already started it and stopped it. It was a complete disaster, and they said we are not going to do that again. President Biden last year signed an executive order for the central bank, the Federal Reserve, to research digital currency in the United States. They have now issued a declaration that they will be starting something called FEDNow. Now, they are very clear to say and market this simply as a payment system for banks, so that banks have instant payment. Here's the problem with that. The banks already have instant payment. They have a digital system already that is an instant payment. For the most part, when you deposit a check into your bank at the ATM, your bank, although it has not seen the check, although it's midnight, your bank now says you have the exact funds that you just deposited available for you to go use on your debit card. So for you, it's instant. It doesn't matter that the bank has to come in the next day and empty the ATMs and then do all of the accounting for the ATMs, and then at the end of the week mail that off to the central. It doesn't matter, because for the most part we have a stable monetary system, which means unless something goes drastically wrong, the bank is sure that the check that you deposited is going to be okay. And because of this trust in the system that they've set up, they go ahead and give you the full use for that check amount immediately. So there is no need for a FEDNow, which they say is an instant system. And let me say, the system that they have is not instant, and even with the FEDNow, it still won't be instant. When you deposit your check, well, you won't have a check. When whoever deposits your check at midnight on a Friday, there is not going to be a human looking at any of that. So I'm assuming what they're going to say is, it's not you, it's the bank that has the instant system. Well, that still doesn't mean that you are depositing a check into the bank, and between you and the bank, that's instant. That's not instant. But the bank is already going to still do the thing of giving you complete instant access to the funds that you deposit into the bank, or your employer deposit into your record. Why? Because they're trusting the system. Well, here's the problem. Regardless of their propaganda, I saw inside information type videos of them saying that they're going to create this wonderful world, a global monetary world. And we've had several instances of several leaders, including yours truly, Joe Biden, praising China. What does China have? China has a social system, and now it has a digital currency system. And their digital currency system first says, if you do anything that they do not like, they shut off the apps on your phone so that you can't make purchases using those apps. And if you further continue, they send guys dressed in little white masks and little white suits, and they come arrest you and throw you in jail. And if you further resist, well, we won't go there. Canada, the Canadian Prime Minister praised China, and Joe Biden praised China. And the Canadian Prime Minister says, it's so wonderful. They're a totalitarian state, and they can tell people what to do so that everybody doesn't have to worry about anything, and so they simply tell them that this is what's going to happen, and it happens because they're dictators. And there you have. That's how you run a society. And he was just so tickled pink that you have dictators telling people what to do. They don't have to worry about anything. The dictator tells you what to do and make it so, right? This is Trudeau saying this. Now you have leaders in Europe saying the same thing, praising China. The thing is, though, China's not on board with Europe because China's in the BRICS system, and the BRICS system is seeking to completely take down the Western structure, which is based on the US dollar. Why is it based on the US dollar? Because the United States is the richest country in the entire world. And because, and by definition, what that actually means is that you are rich people. All of you. I've lived overseas in many, many countries. You are rich people. Compared to all the other humans on the planet, you are rich people. You might not think you're rich, but compared to the rest of the world, you're rich. Other places might be trading dollars, $2 for $2 for one of their currency. And they say, well, that place is really rich. Well, the problem is there's not a big, huge, robust middle class. Most of those places where their currency is really strong, they have a super elite, a tiny middle class, and a bunch of broke people. And I'm telling you, they're broke. They don't have the education. Nothing. They have nothing going for them. And the super rich people basically fund the entire country. The super rich fund the United States, but we do have a robust middle class here. Joe Biden is trying to do away with that. Now, for preppers, I have some gold coins you can buy. I have some silver coins you can buy. I'm trying to give you access to this. I'm going to provide affiliate links. I'm in a desperate situation, so if you want to buy some coins using my affiliate links, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. And I'm going to prepare a list for you to be an instant prepper of stuff that you can buy that will save your money. Why? Because again, if they go to retire the US dollar and turn it into a digital currency, they can do all the stuff that I said. They can say, oh, the digital dollar expires after 6 months. So you have to use the digital dollar. So all of you people who save up 6 months worth of expenses, and once you've saved up that 6 months worth of expenses, in case something hits the fan or you lose your job or whatever, you can still make all of your payments, all of your bills. They're saying, no, we're gonna do away with that. And all of the dollars will expire in 6 months so that you cannot save the money. Or maybe, and they've just come out with this, the Department of Homeland Security has created a misinformation thing, although they said that they were done with it, right? They said they were done with it. They had disbanded that little department, but apparently not. They have created another one. And what are they going to do with the misinformation? If they declare that somebody has spoken misinformation, what are they going to do? Now with the digital currency, they can basically take all of your money and say, because you spouted out misinformation, we're going to take all of your money. Right? I probably shouldn't be saying all this. I'm not very smart. I'm a genius in some areas, but I'm not very smart. I realize I keep having to remind myself I'm on this platform. You should prepare yourself for this and convert your dollars into real currency, meaning gold, silver, platinum, real estate, a full pantry, a reserve pantry, meaning stuff that does not expire, food that doesn't expire, food that comes into containers and it's vacuum sealed and it'll last for a year or 2 years or something crazy like that. I have not been keeping up on the prepper scene for a very long time. I used to be into that scene a very long time ago. I've eaten rations. Well, I've eaten rations because I was in the Air Force. I've eaten rations, and I used to have Some. I don't have anything now. I've lost all of my belongings before I moved into this place. I've had just disaster after disaster strike, and people do stuff to me that probably is not very nice. Including people stealing my identity and all this sort of stuff. And I know the people. But I'm not going to go get myself in trouble and get them in trouble. And I'm not going to go search for them because I have berserker rage. I have that weird quirk that if I get angry enough, I go into I black out and go into a berserker rage. So I had to take martial arts on my life to control myself, not to go into a berserker rage. That's an actual thing. They said that the Norse people, the Vikings, did that. When I was a kid and got into fights, I believed it. Because I wouldn't remember the fights. And people would have to tell me what happened. They stood in shock seeing that. You need to prepare. You need to safeguard your money. You need to safeguard your wealth, even if you don't think you have wealth. If you have $100, you need to safeguard that. They are so greedy that if you have $100, they want to take your $100. It's not going to do anything for them. It's not going to help the government. You do know that the government doesn't take taxes and buy stuff with it. The trillions of dollars that the U.S. government takes goes to pay off the interest from the money that Congress borrows every single day from the Federal Reserve Bank. And it is in the trillions of dollars in the hole. You think you're in debt, the U.S. government is in debt. So no, raising taxes doesn't do anything. You know how they come out and say, we need to start this new program and we need to raise taxes. All they're really doing is trying to get the Federal Reserve more money. They can't get out of debt from the Federal Reserve because they borrow money every day, each and every day. When the government shuts down, that's actually a great thing because that means that they're not borrowing money that day. They're not spending money that day. And it actually means that when the government shuts down, billions of dollars are saved every day. This is the system that we're in. I believe on July 9th, 2023, they're going to launch FEDNow, which is then going to morph into central bank digital currency. They're going to say, no, FEDNow is just a payment system. But what they're trying to do is ease everybody into the system so that when surprise it's digital currency, it won't be surprised because they're going to take baby steps leading from FEDNow to the next thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, then to why don't you just get rid of your dollars? We're going to come around and we're going to just collect your physical dollars and we're just going to go to a digital currency. And I believe this is what happened in Africa, and the people said, absolutely not. No, you can't have our lira or whatever it was. Thank you all for watching. Please donate. I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything. I'm sitting here literally wondering what's going to happen because I have not paid for this month mortgage. I don't know what they're going to say. I pay on a separate system. I pay digitally, so I don't think they actually notice. Because before I have skipped a month and they didn't even notice. And then when I went to pay the next month, they said, hey, you forgot last month. Hey, what about that? And I said, oh, I guess I did forget last month. And then I paid it, of course. That's when I have the money. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm going to make a list of silver, gold, platinum that you can buy and prepare and save and keep your wealth. Thank you.